In the previous sessions, we learned that a chemical reaction is a chemical change. We also express the chemical reaction in the simplest form possible, that is known as a chemical equation. And in a chemical reaction, we know that no new atoms are created or no atom is destroyed in a chemical reaction. That means that if I have a reactant that is reacting and if I have a product that is formed, the number of atoms in the reactant must be equal to the number of atoms in the product. This is actually given by law of conservation of mass. That means every chemical reaction that is happening should obey law of conservation of mass. But if we express the chemical reaction in the simplest form, we get an equation which may be balanced or may not be balanced in terms of the atoms of the reactant and the product. If we are getting an equation where the number of atoms on the reactant side and the number of product atoms on the product side are not equal, then the equation is known as a skeletal equation. Okay, we also discussed that there is more to a chemical equation which is not balanced, that is skeletal equation. And how to balance this skeletal chemical equation, that is what we will learn in this session. Okay, let's take one simplest skeletal equation that we knew from the previous sessions. That is, magnesium is allowed to react with oxygen, where magnesium is represented in the form of Mg, with oxygen which exists as O2 to form what? MgO. Now first thing, I would like to check if the reaction is balanced or not. So what is the condition for balancing? The number of magnesium atoms on the reactant side and product side should be equal, and similarly number of oxygen atoms on the product side and reactant side must be equal. So let me check here. So how many magnesium atoms are there here? One magnesium atom. So here also there is one magnesium atom. So magnesium atoms are balanced. Then how about oxygen atoms? So is the oxygen atoms balanced? Here there are two oxygen atoms, but there is here only one oxygen atom. Hence, the oxygens are not balanced. So this is what? A skeletal equation. Then how to balance this skeletal equation is the question. The first step here in balancing a skeletal equation is you should never ever touch any chemical formulae. So that means first thing, draw a box wherever you are having a reactant and product that are reacting. Okay, you have drawn the boxes. So this means that you cannot change any number or add any number to a chemical formula. You can only add outside to that chemical formula, you can add a number. So what exactly does this mean? We will try to understand. So here, the second step in balancing a chemical equation is figure out what is the compound which has so many number of atoms present in it. So if you look at this particular equation, the only compound is MgO. So now in this compound, we have to know what are the maximum atoms that are present. So in here the compound is MgO, and I know that there is one magnesium atom and one oxygen atom present in this given compound. So if there are equal number of atoms, that is magnesium and oxygen, you can balance any atom. So let me take in balancing oxygen. So how to balance oxygen? So before balancing oxygen, let me try to figure out what are the atoms that are present. So that is what? Magnesium atom is present and oxygen atom is present. And how many magnesium atoms on the reactant side? There is one magnesium atom on the reactant side and two oxygen atoms on the reactant side. And how many on the product side? One magnesium and one oxygen. So now they are not balanced. So now what is the step that I have to take here? I have to take first a compound, and in the compound whichever has maximum number of atoms, that I have to balance. So here if you see, both have same number of atoms in magnesium oxide. So first I will balance oxygen. So now in balancing oxygen, my equation is Mg plus O2 forming MgO, and this is made with boxes. So I'm not touching this. I cannot make any changes in this compounds. So now on the reactant side, how many element is what? Oxygen. And how many oxygens are there on the reactant side? Two oxygens. And the product side, only one oxygen. So I have to make it equal. So how do I make it equal? I have to add two more oxygens. There is already one. I have to make this two oxygens on the product side. So how can I make it two? That means here this is initial. Now the final will be two reactants and two oxygens on the product side. So where can I add the oxygens on the product side? There is only one oxygen that is present in this given compound. So I have to add here 2 MgO. That means my new equation will become Mg plus O2 forming 2 MgO. Now my oxygens are balanced. Here there are two oxygens balanced. So next I have to balance magnesium. So now to balance magnesium, I should know how many are there on the reactant side. So on the reactant side, there is one magnesium, and on the product side, there is two magnesium. So this is initial. So now I have to balance magnesium. So that means that I have to ensure that the number of atoms on the reactant side and the product side are equal. So I have to make the number of magnesium atoms on the reactant side as 2 and 2. So that means my new equation will be, I have to add the 2 towards this magnesium reactant, that is Mg reacting with O2 to form 2 MgO, but I have to add 2 here. Now you see this equation, check one final time, you check whether it is balanced or not. It is 2 Mg, 2 Mg, 2 oxygens, 2 oxygens. Hence the equation is known as what? Balanced chemical equation. Do you understand this? Let's take one more example. So in understanding this, let me take from the previous sessions, we have taken a metal zinc which is reacting with HCl to form ZnCl2 plus H2 gas was avoided. So first thing, is the reaction balanced or not is the question. So now to check if the reaction is balanced or not, I have to go by atoms. Here the zinc is only one atom. Here also zinc one atom. Zinc atoms are balanced. Here hydrogen is one atom. Here it is two atoms. So hydrogen is not balanced. So the equation is what? A skeletal equation. So now you have to get a balanced equation from a skeletal equation. So there is a process to it. What is the first thing? You should never touch anything that is inside the chemical formulae. Okay, so you cannot make any changes to the chemical formulae, correct? And the next step would be figure out the compound which has maximum number of atoms. So which is the compound that has maximum number of atoms? So this has maximum number of atoms, that is 1 zinc and 2 chlorides, correct? So now if that is the case, if that is the compound that has maximum number of atoms, the next step would be to balance the atoms which are maximum in number in this given compound, that is chlorine. So I have to ensure that I have to start balancing with chlorine. So I will take, before balancing with chlorine, I will make a note of the number of atoms, that is zinc is present, hydrogen is present and chlorine is present. And now here on the reactant side, zinc is 1, hydrogen is 1, chlorine is 1. Whereas on the product side, zinc is 1, hydrogen is 2 and chlorine is 2. And I'm starting the balancing with what? Chlorine. And now in balancing with chlorine, the number of atoms on the reactant side are how many? That is 1, and on the product side are 2. So this is the initial value. Okay, if that is the initial value, I have to ensure that the number of atoms on the product side and the reactant side are equal. So if here it is 1, I have to make it how many? It is 2 and 2. So if I make it as 2, that means I have to add this two chlorines on the reactant side. So where are the chlorines involved in the reactant side? That is in HCl. So I have to add this 2 chlorines to HCl. So that would be what? Zinc plus 2HCl will form ZnCl2 plus H2 gas would be evolved. So now are the chlorines balanced? Yes, now the chlorines are balanced. Then how about zinc that is present in the compound with maximum number of atoms? Now I have to balance zinc. Now to balance zinc, let me see how many number of atoms are there on the reactant side? 1 atom, and on the product side 1 atom. So zinc is balanced. So then let me come to the next. That is, after balancing zinc, I will go to hydrogen. So hydrogen is the only atoms that needs to be balanced. So in balancing the hydrogen, so on the reactant side I have how many hydrogens? 1 or 2? Here it is H1Cl1. So 2 into 1 is 2. And whereas on the product side, it is same H2, that is 2 atoms of hydrogen are present. Okay. They are balanced or not? They are balanced. Hence, the hydrogen is also balanced. So, my final equation would be zinc reacting with 2HCl to form ZnCl2 plus H2. Zinc is balanced, hydrogens are balanced, chlorine is also balanced. So, this equation is the final balanced chemical equation. You understand this? How to balance a chemical reaction? And we will see in the next session more of the chemical reactions. We will try to understand balancing even a bit more complex reactions than the reactions that we are seeing now. Okay? Thank you so much. I'll see you in the next session.